Our journey through the Western Galilee begins in Rosh HaNikra, where until recently an outdoor gym served as a machine gun position overlooking the sea. Much of this area was all but abandoned by civilians for the last 14 months. We travel through the town of Shlomi, where more than a week into the ceasefire, many businesses are still shuttered. While the streets are quiet, signs of normalcy are returning. Vegetation at the side of the road trimmed for the first time in over a year. In Hanita, the next community eastwards, the entrance remains closed to outsiders. Many of the villages on the border are keeping up wartime security. In Eilon, not far from the border, we meet resident Dalia. She and her husband returned, keen to maintain their artist's garden. But her adult children, who lived here at the outbreak of the war, are yet to come back.
It's too early to know what will happen. Impossible during the first week of the ceasefire. So far, it's quiet.
Dalia's concern is for the future of Eilon. While her generation will return, she fears younger families with children enrolled in schools won't come back until the end of the school year, in June, if they come back at all.
It was clear to us that we'd be coming back. Not so clear if our children would return, our children and grandchildren. It will be a problem if lots of the families with small children don't return. I would want to see a kindergarten and a school full of children.
On we travel to Shtula, one of the worst-hit communities during the fighting. Its elevated position on the border leaving it vulnerable to anti-tank missiles. The wall, erected to block the missile's path, is decorated in murals, including one depicting an Ashkenazi and a Kurdish Jew, a nod to the village's founding communities. Avirama Harris, a local tour guide, acknowledges concerns for the rural community's population size, but remained optimistic.
Reason says that some people will not come back and then there will be a deterioration in the number of people here. But what we see is that in the south, where they had a catastrophe, some people are actually moving to the south now. And Israel is not rational, it's not a rational place. There's a lot of, I don't want to say miracles, but irrationality around.
Perhaps a hint of this, people from different parts of Israel arriving to Shtula out of curiosity, hoping to see for themselves the state of the village. Some even apparently inquiring about property. Our guide around Shtula is Yitzhak, a member of the local security team.
So this road that we're on right now, what we're doing, we couldn't have done this 2-3 weeks ago before the ceasefire.
Until the ceasefire, this was a totally closed area. We never passed here. It was forbidden. You can see, as we drive the state of the road, we didn't drive here at all. Because it's exposed to the border here, they fired all the anti-tank missiles. Almost every house was fired upon. All the houses behind us and above, they were hit. That house also got hit. This is the first missile in Shtula, the first missile of the war in the north, actually. Here, a worker was killed while building the house.
We stop at one house to see the damage an anti-tank missile causes.
Immediately to my front, behind my cameraman, Dean, is the Lebanese border. And it's that very view which has been such a danger to this house and many of the houses along this street, because they were directly facing Lebanon and therefore vulnerable to anti-tank missiles. The house that we're standing in now took a direct hit from one of these anti-tank missiles. The family wasn't at home when this took place. The father from the family is actually a member of the local security team. So he was in the village when it happened, but not at this location.
While Yitzhak spent the last year in the village, his mother has yet to return. Their home, from where Shtula ran a Kurdish restaurant, is marked by shrapnel. Despite the beauty and the quiet of the north, it may be hard for those wishing to raise families to live so close to the border, Yitzhak says.
The residents won't return at this early stage. I think a lot of people feel abandoned. They won't return until it's absolutely safe to do so. Because our neighbors on the other side of this wall, they have returned, and they're hostile villages, Shiite villages, that Hezbollah built.
Uncertainty hangs over the communities of the Western Galilee and those elsewhere on the border. In the short term, will the 60-day ceasefire hold, and what will follow it as these communities look to the future?
Rational thinking says many people will not come back, but Israel was based on irrationality. So that's what I expect.